Good morning. I'm Marie Harrison, the Kids Rock Director, and every week I come into the church to do the children's message. But my family stays at home and watches church online, just like some of you are doing right this very minute. And a few weeks ago, when I came home, my girls came running to the door to tell me that our dog Chewy had watched me on TV. Now, Chewy is 7 years old, and he still acts just like a puppy. He can't sit still for even a minute. But when I came on the TV, Chewy stopped what he was doing and watched Miss Marie. A few months ago, the Fritz family from here in our congregation sent me a picture of their son James, who is 3 years old. The Fritz family also watches church online at home, and James usually plays with his toys while church is on the TV. But when he heard my voice, James's dad said that James put down his toy cars, stopped to watch Miss Marie, and then when the children's message was over, he went back to playing with his toys. That's pretty high praise from a 3-year-old. But my question is, why do you think Chewy and James stop and listen to me? Well, I think it's because they know my voice. And Jesus said that the very same thing applies to every one of us. In John chapter 10, Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, a group of religious leaders who like to twist God's words around to try to give them more power and more control. And Jesus was teaching them with a parable, a story about one thing that really means something else. So in John chapter 10, Jesus said, there are sheep in a pen, in a fenced-in, gated area, and the sheep watch as their gatekeeper enters in through the gate. And when he calls them out, well, the sheep follow him wherever he may go because they know his voice. But, Jesus said, if a thief or a stranger climbs over the fence at night and opens up the gate and tries to call the sheep out, well, the sheep won't follow the stranger. They don't know his voice. They'll run away. Now, Jesus wasn't really talking about sheep. The sheep in that story are actually people, me and all of you. And who is our gatekeeper? Who do we follow wherever they tell us to go? That's God and Jesus. We follow them because we know their voice. But wait, how do you know what Jesus' voice sounds like? He's not on the stage right here beside me. He doesn't call me on the phone to talk to me. How do you know what Jesus' voice sounds like? Well, we have the Bible. This whole book is the voice of God and Jesus talking to each and every one of us. And the more we read our Bible, the better we're able to hear Jesus' voice. And we read in our Bible where Jesus says to love your neighbor just like you love yourself. And we know that if anybody tells us that we shouldn't love someone because they look different than us, that's not the voice of Jesus. That's the voice of a stranger. And just like those sheep in Jesus' story, we should run away. We should only follow Jesus and God's voice. But the only way to know their voice is to read our Bible. The Bible's a pretty big book. But even if we only read one verse every single night, we'll start to hear God and Jesus' voice more clearly. And Jesus warned us that there will be people, strangers and thieves, who will try to twist God's words, who will try to lead us away from God. And just like those sheep in Jesus' story, we should run away from anybody who isn't the voice of God and Jesus. So I hope this week you'll try something new at night. Try reading just one verse out of the Bible every single night so you can start to hear the voice of God and Jesus more clearly. And now, Maddie is going to come and read our scripture message today, right from the voice of God.